4. Welcome back to Breakfast Television. Do you have a kid under the age of 2? Do you let them watch screens? Perhaps you've heard we're not supposed to give toddlers screen time. We have the co-author this morning of a U.B.C. study that says 58% of Vancouver parents are just completely ignoring this and letting their kids watch anyway. Welcome to the show, Rita.
Thank you for having me.
So I want to address really quickly a tweet that I got this morning, just moments ago, from Danielle. Good morning, Danielle. I said that we were going to be talking about this, and she said, what about kids who are using tablets at a very young age, who have autism, and it's about language development? What do you have to say to that?
So, and I'm not an expert on autism, but from what I've read and what I know about autism, and that's a whole other ballgame. And I know that some of these tablets have been instrumental in the development of autism. So I think we sort of take those kids off the table. We're talking about, you know, just the average child growing up here in Vancouver.
Great. Well, let's get that out of the way then. And now that we know we are talking about an average child, you give a toddler screen time.
Yeah.
What are some of the negative implications health-wise?
So health-wise, and it's important to identify that we're talking about kids 2 and under. And so the recommendation is no screen time for that age group. And so for that specific age group, the health implications would be language delays and issues with sleep are the 2 big ones with that age.
Yeah. That would be very similar with adults. I know going to bed at night with your cell phone, you might not have a great sleep, but we're all using screens. Is it really a great expectation that you could completely limit your toddler's screen time?
So I think, you know, my job as a nurse and as a parent myself, I understand that you're exhausted and you need a break sometimes.
I've got housework, I've got a phone call to make.
Exactly, and then the number one thing our research said is the number one reason parents allow screen time is so that they can get a break, and I think that's critical. But I think it's also important to look at, you know, how you're giving your kids a break and
because there are alternatives to screens. I mean, there was a time when we never had any screens at all.
Absolutely, and we want to be careful. We're not judging parents. You know, we've all done it. We've all given our kids screen time. But I think my job is to give parents scientific, good research-based evidence, scientific evidence, so that they can make the most informed decision for their own family.
I mean, I've seen when I took my son to get a needle, you know, an immunization shot when I was younger, I saw other parents pulling out the screens to show them. What are some alternatives to pulling out a screen to comfort your child instead of using the screen as a pacifier?
I think the most natural thing would be to hold your child and that physical comfort. And we know that children, especially young children, learn best from that face-to-face, one-on-one contact with a loving adult, not from a screen. There is no research to support that they learn from a screen at this young age.
So can we talk about, you know, your study says that 58% of Vancouver parents admit to letting their toddler watch screens even though the guidelines say don't do it.
Yeah.
I want to know, are younger parents, let's say a 22-year-old parent, more likely to give their kids screen time than someone who's my age, 38?
So it's an interesting question because we have generations now growing up always having these screens. You know, they're in every household. They're out in the street, on the buses, they're everywhere. So you have a generation where this has been a tool that's been part of their life. I think every generation shares that they love their kids unconditionally. They want what's best for their kids. Parents are doing the best that they can, but I think we need to think twice sometimes. And in my own life, I do think twice every time I pick up my phone now. Since I've been doing this research, I really work hard not to pick up my phone quite so much in front of my kids and to think twice when I do give them screen time. And it doesn't mean I don't give them screen time, but it does mean that I'm thinking about it more often and I'm a little more aware.
Well, thank you so much as a mom and a researcher, as a nurse, coming here and helping us this morning. Just plant a seed and starting a conversation about our kids and screen time. Thank you, Rita.
Great. Well, thank you for having me.
All right, we can continue the conversation on Twitter. We'll see you there, and stick around.